My father demanded half of my $500,000 salary go to my brother, and I said okay. But I want you to understand what happened before that, because the yes wasn't weakness, it was strategy. I'd been building that yes for 14 months since the morning my mother died, and when the words came out of his mouth I felt something inside me go quiet, not sad, just finished. The table was full, Sunday dinner at their house. My father, Robert, sat at the head like he always did, like he was still the man who ran everything. My older brother, Mark, sat to his right, already smirking because he knew what was coming. I'd been waiting for this moment since the last time I visited. My younger sister, Chloe, sat across from me and she wouldn't meet my eyes. She never did when Dad started. "Lauren," he said, "I'm Lauren, I'm 32, I'm a surgeon and I've been supporting this family for 7 years. Mark needs help. His medical bills are piling up. You make $500,000. You will give him half, not could, not would you consider." Will, my hands went cold under the table. I looked at Mark. He looked away first. That told me everything. "Okay," I said. Chloe dropped her fork. My father leaned back, satisfied. Mark grinned like he'd won something, and I smiled, small, real, already gone, because I knew something none of them did. The house we were sitting in wasn't going to be our family home for much longer. Mom's trust gave me ownership, but Dad had a lifetime right to live there. The trust allowed me to sell the property, but I had to honor Dad's lifetime occupancy rights by providing relocation funds. His demand was the final confirmation I needed before completing the sale. I drove home that night with my hands shaking on the steering wheel, but not from fear, from relief, because saying okay was the last lie I ever had to tell them. Mark had been my father's favorite since we were kids, the first son. The one who could do no wrong, and I spent my whole life trying to earn the same love by being good, being helpful, being quiet, but quiet has a breaking point. Mine was the morning my mother, Eleanor, died. She was the only one who saw me, the only one who ever said, "Lauren, you don't have to fix everything." She died holding my hand, not Mark's, and the moment her grip went loose I knew there was no reason to stay. Mom had set up the trust before she got sick. I was the owner, but Dad could live there as long as he wanted. The trust allowed me to sell the property, but I had to honor Dad's lifetime occupancy rights by providing relocation funds. I'd been saving for that payment for over a year, but here's the thing, I didn't just pack for myself. I packed for Chloe too, she just didn't know it yet. She'd been quietly saving money for months, waiting for permission to leave. 2 weeks before the dinner, I went to my sister's apartment. She lived 30 minutes away in a cramped studio she could barely afford, and she never asked me for money. That's how I knew she was the good one. "Chloe," I said, sitting on her floor because she didn't have a couch, "if I told you I was leaving, what would you do?" She looked at me like I'd just told her the sun was going out. "Leave where?" "Away from them, from Dad, from Mark." From all of it. She was quiet for a long time, then she said something I'll never forget. "I thought you were the only one keeping it together. If you leave, what happens to the rest of us?" And I realized she wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing the version of me who held everything up, the version who made everything okay, the version who never got anything back. "I'm not your mother," I told her, and my voice cracked for the first time. "I can't be the only one holding this family together. I'm tired. I've been tired for years." She nodded, then she started crying, and I knew she'd come with me. She just needed permission to let go too. She'd already been saving money secretly for 6 months, waiting for a way out. Mark called me the day after the dinner. I was at home, staring at 2 suitcases I'd started packing the night before, clothes, photos of Mom, my grandmother's ring, and nothing else. "Lauren," he said, using my name like he was owed something, "Dad told me you agreed. So when's the first check coming?" I heard him chewing something. Probably steak, probably expensive, probably bought with money he didn't earn. Mark had been between jobs for 3 years. Every time I asked what he did all day, he'd say he was consulting. I looked up his LLC once. It was dormant. "End of the month," I said. "Good. And Lauren, Dad's gonna need more soon. He's getting older. You should be ready." I almost laughed. Dad was 63 and ran marathons. Mark was just building a story, a narrative where I was the rich sister who had to pay for everything. A narrative where he was the victim. "I'm ready," I said, and I meant it. He hung up without thanking me, and I realized he'd never thanked me once. Not for the car I bought him when his broke down. Not for the rent I paid when he got evicted. Not for anything. That was the moment I stopped feeling guilty. I'd already arranged a leave of absence from the hospital, professional, formal, approved. My California license transfer was already in progress. The movers came on a Tuesday. I'd arranged everything weeks ago. They took the furniture, the boxes, the kitchen things, everything I'd already sorted. My father didn't know because he never visited me, never asked. I was just a source of money, and money doesn't need to see where it lives. I told Chloe to pack a small bag, nothing heavy, just the things she actually cared about. "Where are we going?" she asked. Her voice was scared but steady. "Away," I said, "somewhere where we're not responsible for everyone else's mistakes." She hugged me so tight I felt her heart beat through her chest. What about Dad? What about Mark? Mark will figure it out, I said, or he won't. And Dad's been making choices for a long time, Chloe. He's just never had to face the consequences. Now he will. That was the first time I said it out loud. Consequences, because that's what this was, not revenge, not punishment. Just the weight of all the things he'd ignored, finally landing on him, and I wasn't there to catch it anymore. If you've ever felt like the only one holding everything together, you know how heavy that is. And you know that sometimes, leaving is the only way to stay whole. My father called me at 7:03 a.m. on moving day. I was already in a cab with Chloe, headed to the airport, 2 suitcases between us, everything else was gone. Lauren, he said, I came by to check on the house and there's a lockbox on the gate. Did you change the locks? No, I said, that's the closing agent's lockbox. The sale finalized at midnight. Your relocation payment was wired directly to your account this morning. Did you check it? There was a long silence. I could almost hear him processing, the gears turning, the pieces trying to fit, the slow dawning horror. What sale? The trust, Dad. Mom set it up before she died. I own the house. You had a lifetime right to live there. The amount was calculated based on the trust's relocation clause. You received $200,000. It's in your account right now. His voice cracked. That was my home. Your mother, Mom knew you'd do this. I said, quiet, calm. She knew you'd demand. She wanted me to have a way out. You can't do this to me. You're my daughter. I am, I said, and I love you, but I can't keep being the person who fixes everything while you stand there and watch. I've been gone for 14 months, Dad. You just didn't notice. The line went dead. I didn't cry in the airport. Chloe did, but she was crying because she was scared, and because for the first time she was choosing herself. That's a terrifying thing when you've been raised to believe your only value is in what you give. We got on a plane to San Diego. I'd rented a small house there, 2 bedrooms, a lemon tree in the backyard, a view of the water. It wasn't extravagant, it was just mine, but here's what I didn't expect. Mark figured out we were leaving. Later I learned Chloe had told her friend and that friend told Mark. He blew up my phone, calling 6 times while we were boarding, and I finally picked up because I knew he wouldn't stop. Dad collapsed last night, he said. The stress of the house, you did this to him, you have to come back. I knew he was exaggerating. I'd already spoken to Dad's doctor. He'd had a panic attack, nothing more. But Mark was using guilt as a weapon. Mark, I said, I'm done. You're going to have to figure out your own life, get a job, sell something, ask someone else, but I can't be your bank account and your punching bag at the same time. He called me a name I won't repeat. Then he hung up and I felt nothing. That's what surprised me, how empty I felt and how okay that was. 3 months later, I sent my father a letter, not an angry one, just a letter with a check attached, $500. Dad, it said, this is the only piece of my hard work you will ever see, not half my salary, not my life. Nothing else. I'll always love you, but I'm not coming back. Chloe found a job at a hospital in San Diego. She's good at it. She handles billing, but she's better with people. She tells me every week. I feel like I'm breathing for the first time, and I believe her. My father has sent me exactly 1 message since then, a voicemail. His voice was gravelly like he hadn't slept. Lauren, I don't understand. I raised you. I gave you everything and you walked away. He didn't ask about Chloe, didn't ask if I was okay, just asked why I left him, and I realized he still didn't see it. He still didn't understand that I wasn't running from him. I was running toward something, toward the version of myself that didn't exist in his house. My California medical license had come through, and I was starting a new position in 2 weeks. 6 months later, Mark sent me a long email. Attached was a photo of my father's new apartment, small, clean, nothing like the house we grew up in. You left us with nothing, he wrote. I hope you're proud. I wrote back 1 sentence, I hope you're okay. That was it, no explanation, no justification, just an open door he could walk through if he wanted, but he never replied. Because people like Mark, people who have been given everything their whole lives, they don't know how to receive something that asks nothing in return. I started going to therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to make sure I never ended up back there. I wanted to be the kind of person who could walk away and not look back, and I was getting there. Chloe came over one night and said, do you ever miss them? I thought about it. I miss who I thought they were, I said. I miss Mom, but the rest is just noise. She nodded. She understood because she felt the same way. Dad eventually used his $200,000 relocation payment to buy a small condo. He still calls Chloe sometimes. She tells me he sounds lonely. This story doesn't end with everyone loving each other. That's not real. This story ends with 2 sisters, a lemon tree, and a quiet afternoon where nobody is fighting. My father demanded half of my salary. He asked like I owed him, like I was born to serve my brother, like my success was meant to be redistributed to the people who never tried. And I packed 2 suitcases, not because I was angry, because I was ready. I gave Dad his relocation payment, $200,000, exactly what the trust required. The amount was calculated based on the trust's relocation clause. I didn't steal, I didn't cheat. I just followed the agreement he never bothered to read. If you've ever been the one holding everything together, if you've ever been the person everyone looks to for money, for time, for answers, you know how heavy that is. And you know that sometimes leaving is the only way to stay whole. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe so you never miss one, and leave a comment telling me, have you ever had to walk away to save yourself? Because I didn't destroy anyone that day. I just stopped saving people who didn't want to be saved, and that was enough. That was more than enough. 2 suitcases, 1 plane ticket, a whole life ahead.